Hey everyone, Julian here today. I'm going to be showing you the much requested how to make trick style house. As usual, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that for just $5. It's an awesome template. I promise if you grab this, you'll make the best house track you've ever made in your life. Links at the top of the description also for my Ghost Productions, track finishing, and lessons. I'm doing those at the moment, so go ahead and click that, check it out. It's another great way to take your tracks to the next level. Thanks for the support, everybody, and let's dive in on the tutorial. Alright, so we're at 128 ppm. These tracks are like all over the place, low-key. Like, I've heard some of them were even like 135, you know, really stepping up there. 128 is like a good middle ground where it'll groove pretty hard. And the first thing we've got is this kick. Now, what's happening here is this is a 909 kick. So this is actually one of the kicks. I'll show it to you. It's this 909 that I sampled in from the TR9 drum machine. You know, the one that they made a few years ago where it's like a 909, but it's a lot smaller and it's a little rectangle and you can kind of like, yeah, it's the same thing. So basically I recorded this in through a mixer, and I was trying to do that old school technique where you basically like clip it into the mixer but then turn the output down, so it's not actually clipping technically, but it becomes just like a lot harder. Right? So I took that, and then what I did is I pitched it down a little bit. And the secret to get this like modern 909 is you take one of those where it's just huge and super hard hitting and it's got a lot of bass as well, and then you actually use a low pass filter. And then there's an envelope on the filter. So what's happening is you're still getting the bass and that fat 909, but because you have this envelope on here which is very short, you're really just hearing the mid-range and highs at the start of the sound. You don't get all that like brr at the end. But you still get that fatness. And that's really the key, because obviously these kicks hit very hard and it is a 909 kick, but it's not just like that standard one. So I believe this is how these are being made, is just taking that big, huge, like I said, just push 909 straight out of the drum machine. There's a video of me doing that on my channel as well if you search. And then just the filter envelope. So again, without that, with it. And I also made it a little shorter too. I don't think you want it to be like that long, boomy 909. We've got that, and then I'm just doing a little bass cut. You can hear it makes it less like boom on the speakers. Then we have the bass line. So we're in the key of D sharp minor. It's actually a pretty simple bass line. With these tracks, you know, there's not really a whole lot going on. If you look at this, besides the bass and the drums, it's really just these sounds that kind of pop in and out, right? So you can do a lot with the bass line. And I've heard this in a lot of these tracks where it's this trancey bass and then like a melodic bass line like this. This one we're using, if you look at this in terms of like a D sharp minor scale, you can see it's just 5 notes. It's root note, minor third, 4th, 5th, and then 6th. You can see that's where you really get that like. You know, you can really create a melody with those voices, right? So, you know, it's pretty simple. It's really just walking up the scale, but just like creating a really great groove with that. And that really just starts with having that kick already, like get the kick in there, and then just create that pattern with the bass. And if you do that around that thumping kick, you'll come up with something pretty groovy. For the actual sounds, like I said, it's this trancey bass actually, where you basically, what I like to do for these is it's operator, because with operator you get this phase reset. So basically it makes it so the phase on the notes resets at the same place every single time. I'll show you why you want to do that. Check it out what it sounds like without that. Hear how the bass is like different consistency every single time, and then if we add that, it's just like the same bass note over and over. So that's why we're doing that. We got a saw wave, a triangle wave an octave up, and then a square wave, but there's actually no FM happening. Those are going into a low pass with a bit of an envelope, and then we're just side chaining it and doing a subcut again, so it's not too like whoom, on the speakers. And then on that whole group there, all we're doing actually is just converting it to mono. Cool. So then we have this organ and this 303. So these are kind of, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on besides that bass line. These really just double up what's happening with the bass line. If you look at the MIDI on these, in both cases, it's just doing the same thing that the bass line's doing. Like if I play it with that. Right? It's just matching that, because if you try to do too many extra notes with these, it starts to get a bit messy. It can become kind of a problem when you have this just constantly going, and then all of a sudden these notes come in that aren't really matching it. So I really just try to have these kind of follow the same thing the bass line's doing. Right? Even here, this goes up an octave, but it's the same note. So for the organ, what's happening is we've got analog, and to create the organ sound, we've got two sine waves. One is an octave and a fifth up. That's how you get that. Right? And then what we're doing is we've got a low pass filter with an envelope, so we're getting kind of like a pluck out of that. And then I got this overdrive, which is doing a lot. Here's without it. With it, right? It really gives it that kind of like futuristic, almost like trancey texture, honestly. There's a lot of trance in these tracks, more than people realize. Then there's a bit of delay and reverb, and then just a high pass for the 303. So what's happening here is we've got an arpeggiator doing 16th notes. They're swung since there's so much swing in the bass line. Right? It makes it fit with that. We've got one saw wave in operator here, a bandpass filter with a little bit of envelope. We've got the frequency key tracked, and then we've also got a hard shaper on here. And then we're automating the filter frequency on the 303 on that bandpass. We've also got a little LFO on the filter, so you're getting like a lot of movement on that filter. That's really the key to this. If you turn that off, see, it gets a little bit too flat. This really adds that last little bit to really bring it to life. We've got a bit of this amp. Here's without it. With it, it's just a layer at 23%. It's not really that heavy, but it's adding a little bit. And then we just have some delay. Then we have all the vocals.
Take me in your arms.
Don't die.
So it's all these little melodies. You can see as far as the actual vocal processing goes, it's pretty simple. You'll notice it's really just a bit of delay, maybe some EQ if it's needed, like on this one. But the main thing I think with these is that they're simple. They're very catchy. Like, these are very carefully selected to be some of the catchiest vocals in dance music in these tracks. And I really tried to show you guys that here and do this.
Take me in your arms.
And it's just like enough vocals to where it's not just like a flat instrumental with a little vocal. It really is like a vocal track, but they're not taking over.
Take me in your arms.
And the other thing that's very important here is you notice every single one of these has a little bit of sidechain on it. Right? You can hear that. And even when it's not that intense, because you don't want it to be like a super intense sidechain, even when it's just like a little bit like this, it just makes it groove with the beat a little bit more. Like if we turn that off, see what I mean? Just having that slight pump to it really helps. So we've got that on all the vocals, even if it's subtle. Then the next thing we got here is the main hi-hat. So this is made with 3 layers. It's meant to kind of be like this big fat 909 hi-hat that's deceptively, it seems really simple, but it's actually like quite a few layers to get that really full, chunky hi-hat that you want. These are a bunch of new samples I made, actually just for this video. So you see, like, it's one which is very much in the high end, kind of like just a 909 hi-hat, but then it's layered with this one, which is also like a 909, but it's in the mid-range, and it's more like tch. And then you add the shaker under that, and you get this one super full hi-hat. Then we have on the group there, just a little EQ, boosting the highs, cutting the lows. Then we have this clap. So this is 2 layers. We got this one. This is also new samples for this video. And then this one, which is a lot more like full, right? And then the other one kind of adds a bit of stereo width. And the other thing is, you'll see I've got the track delay on, pulling that down by 10 milliseconds. So it's basically happening 10 milliseconds before the other one. If I play this with the kick, hear how we're getting like boom, like it almost goes like into the kick. And if I turn that off, it's like a whole different clap, right? So it's really important. It gives it a more like live hand clap feel. Even if there's no processing on these, it's stuff like that combined with very good layering that makes this work. So then we have all these little percussion layers. If I play this with the main hi-hat and the clap, you'll hear it. So this is like quite a few layers, and it may seem very simple when you're hearing the whole track. Like not that much, but as you can see, there's a lot happening here to really fill this out without taking up too much space. And it's really all about call and response. Like you can see, we've got like these ones are talking to each other. We've got like these two talking to each other. So this is just like this break beat that I chopped. And then like a 909 rim shot. And then these two, which are talking to each other. Right? And when you add all these very simple little call and response percussion grooves together, it becomes something complex. Like when you play it all at once. And then when you play that with the main groove, it'll fill it all out. So I recommend doing that. Like just get together like 3 or 4 little groups of different hi-hats and percussions talking to each other, and it'll fill this out. And then the last layer is this live house loop. So yeah, just a bit of like live percussion. You know, it adds some life to the track. You know, it really adds something that you just can't get with programmed percussion. Like you need like a live loop like this, because I'll show you, like here's the whole drums with no live percussion. Right, it's groovy, but it sounds a bit too rigid, and then you add this in. And then you have, again, like something more organic, something bringing a bit of life into the track. We've just got that side chained a little, and then we're cutting the lows and boosting a little bit of like high mids. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, the samples, the MIDI, the presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out. It's a really great template. Honestly, this would really help you out if you're trying to make house like this. It's just something very solid that you can grab right now and make the best tracks of your life today. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Every little bit helps. Also, check out my Ghost Productions, track finishing, and lessons. The link for those are at the top of the description as well. I look forward to helping you guys out with your tracks. See you guys tomorrow with another video.